Have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
In Washington, some of the most revealing political moments happen when a hearing suddenly goes off script. Lawmakers sit across from top officials. Questions are supposed to focus on policy, budgets, national security. But every so often, a single unexpected question changes the entire atmosphere in the room. That's exactly what happened here. A senior government official facing questions from members of Congress. And suddenly the conversation turns to judgment, relationships, and possible conflicts of interest. The response is immediate: pushback, shock, accusations that the question itself is inappropriate. But the lawmaker pressing the issue argues the opposite, that this is not about gossip. This is about leadership, decision-making, and whether personal connections could influence someone responsible for one of the most sensitive agencies in the government. Within seconds, the hearing becomes tense. Interruptions, members reclaiming their time, arguments about accountability. And now this moment is spreading because it shows how quickly oversight hearings can turn into political confrontations. Watch the exchange closely.
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is
time,
an advisor
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
up your
question.
position. So what I would say
And
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the
question
Department of Homeland
clearly
Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation.
every single day is to protect
If
this
someone
country
is
and to
asking
make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage?
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
No,
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself.
recognize-
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California, but it'd be nice if you would let her respond.
I will. I want to let you know it is about your judgment and decision-making. It is about the 260,000 employees that work under you that want to make sure that you are giving information and making decisions clearly. It is about conflict of interest. It is about a national security risk. Department of Homeland Security was created right after 9/11 to protect the homeland. And DHS has circulated an internal bulletin to law enforcement partners warning that the conflict of the war we're in could inspire lone actors or small-scale cyber activity inside the United States, according to a memo obtained by ABC News. So American lives are at risk. The people who work for you are at risk. And they want to know that the person at the top, you, are making decisions clearly, without any sort of clouding.
What you just saw is a classic Washington showdown. And the first thing to notice is the immediate defensive strategy. Instead of answering directly, the official labels the question as tabloid garbage. That phrase matters because in politics, one of the fastest ways to neutralize a question is to attack the legitimacy of the question itself. If the audience believes the question is inappropriate, then suddenly the official doesn't have to engage with the substance. It reframes the entire moment. Instead of discussing the allegation, the conversation becomes about whether the lawmaker crossed a line. But watch how the lawmaker responds. Instead of backing away, the argument shifts. The focus becomes judgment, conflict of interest, and leadership responsibility. That pivot is extremely important because it reframes the conversation away from personal behaviour and toward the responsibilities of running a massive federal agency. Suddenly, the discussion isn't about gossip, it's about whether personal relationships could affect decision-making. Inside the Department of Homeland Security, an agency responsible for border security, counterterrorism, cyber threats and disaster response, that reframing raises the stakes immediately. Now the audience is hearing the question through a completely different lens, not as personal curiosity, but as a potential ethics issue. Another detail you may have noticed is the repeated phrase, reclaiming my time. That phrase might sound procedural, but in congressional hearings, it's actually very powerful. It allows lawmakers to control the conversation, it prevents interruptions, and it ensures that their message gets delivered clearly on camera. Because everyone in that hearing room knows something important. These moments are not just about information, they are about messaging. Every exchange, every tone, shift is being recorded, and eventually those clips will travel across television, social media, and political commentary channels, which means both sides are speaking to a much larger audience. The lawmaker is speaking to voters, the official is speaking to supporters, and both are trying to control the narrative of what just happened. Another key moment in the exchange is when the discussion turns to national security. The lawmaker references the mission of the Department of Homeland Security and the threats the country faces. That shift is not accidental. By connecting the question to national security responsibilities, the stakes become much larger. Now, the issue is framed as, can someone leading a major security agency make decisions clearly, without any possible conflicts? That argument is politically powerful, because national security is one of the most serious responsibilities in government, and when questions about judgment get connected to that mission, they carry much more weight. But the official's reaction also follows a familiar strategy, showing shock, calling the question inappropriate. That reaction sends a signal to supporters and allies that the hearing has crossed a line, that the questioning is politically motivated. And in today's political environment, that argument can resonate strongly, because many viewers already believe that congressional hearings have become more about political theatre than policy oversight. So what you're really watching here is a clash between two narratives. One side arguing this is about accountability, the other arguing this is about sensationalism, and the outcome often depends on how media outlets frame the story. Some coverage will focus on the confrontation itself, the drama, the tension, the sharp language. Other coverage will focus on the ethics question and whether the refusal to answer raises concerns. Whichever narrative spreads faster often shapes how the public interprets the moment. Another important part of the exchange is the reference to the employees working under the department, hundreds of thousands of people responsible for carrying out the mission of Homeland Security. By mentioning them, the lawmaker shifts the conversation toward leadership standards. The argument becomes those employees deserve to know that decisions at the top are being made clearly without conflicts. That framing moves the conversation away from personal controversy and into institutional accountability, which is exactly how these questions gain political traction. Because when the public begins to view an issue as a leadership standard question, rather than a personal matter, the political impact can grow quickly. Even if no formal investigation follows, even if no additional details emerge, the perception alone can influence how voters view an official. That's why exchanges like this spread so rapidly online. One tense moment, one controversial question, and suddenly it becomes the clip everyone is debating. Supporters say the official stood up to an unfair attack. Critics say the refusal to answer creates more suspicion, and both narratives circulate at the same time. That's the reality of modern political media. Short viral clips, fast reactions, and competing interpretations. But beyond the drama, moments like this reveal something deeper. Congressional hearings are not just fact-finding sessions, they are political arenas. Every question, every response, every interruption is part of a larger communication strategy. And sometimes the most memorable moments are the ones no one planned for. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think questions about personal relationships are fair game when they could involve conflicts of interest inside government leadership? Or do you think moments like this cross the line into political spectacle? Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you enjoy deeper breakdowns of major political confrontations like this, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for the next analysis.